For years, fans of the Yellowstone universe have been waiting for one story that feels completely different from everything we've seen before. A story where the struggle is not just about protecting land, power, and family names, but about the true heart of the cowboy world. And now, after countless rumors, delays, and questions, the future of the 6666 Ranch is finally becoming clearer. The legendary Texas ranch that changed Jimmy forever could soon become the center of a brand new chapter filled with familiar faces, unexpected conflicts, and a completely different kind of battle. The biggest question is no longer whether the 6666 story will happen. The question is, what kind of world will we discover when we finally return to Texas? Will Jimmy become the leader everyone expected him to be? Will old Yellowstone characters cross paths with the 46's ranch? And could this be the project that expands Taylor Sheridan's universe in a way fans have never seen before? Because this time, the story is not about the Dutton family fighting to survive. This is about the people who wake up every morning before sunrise, the cowboys who live by loyalty and hard work, and a ranch that carries over a century of history. The next chapter of Yellowstone's universe may not take place in Montana, but its impact could be just as powerful. For a long time, the idea of a Yellowstone spinoff set at the 6666 Ranch has been one of the most exciting possibilities for fans. Ever since Jimmy arrived in Texas, viewers immediately noticed that something about this place felt different. It was not just another ranch, it was a completely different way of life. The rules were different, the people were different, and the challenges were different. When Jimmy first entered the Yellowstone world, many fans never expected him to become such an important character. At the beginning, he was someone who constantly failed, someone who struggled to prove himself, and someone who looked completely out of place among experienced cowboys. But that was exactly what made his journey special. Jimmy was never the strongest or the most fearless person in the room. He was a character who had to earn respect step by step. Every mistake, every failure, and every difficult moment shaped him into someone stronger. And when he was sent to the 6666 Ranch in Texas, everything started to change. The 46's did not magically turn Jimmy into a different person. Instead, it gave him the environment where he could finally discover who he was. Away from the pressure of Montana and the expectations surrounding the Dutton Ranch, Jimmy found a place where hard work mattered more than reputation. That is what makes this upcoming spin-off so interesting. It has the chance to tell a smaller, more personal story while still being connected to the massive Yellowstone universe. Instead of focusing only on family wars and political battles, the 6666 story can explore the daily struggles of ranch life and the people who dedicate everything to keeping that tradition alive. The real 6666 Ranch itself adds another layer of excitement. This is not just a fictional location created for television. The ranch has a deep history and represents a real part of American cowboy culture. That gives the series a different feeling compared to other Yellowstone projects. Taylor Sheridan's connection to the ranch has also made fans believe this project could receive special attention. Unlike many fictional locations, the 6666 Ranch carries its own identity and legacy. The challenge will be creating a story that respects that history while still delivering the drama and emotion that Yellowstone fans expect. And that is where the new cast possibilities become extremely interesting. Fans are wondering which familiar faces could return and who could become the new characters that define this Texas chapter. Of course, Jimmy feels like the natural center of the story because his journey already connects Yellowstone to the 6666 Ranch, but this world is much bigger than one character. There are endless possibilities. New cowboys could arrive with their own secrets. Old conflicts could follow characters from Montana into Texas, and characters who were once in the background could finally get their moment to shine. One thing that makes Yellowstone successful is that every character carries emotional weight. Even the toughest cowboys have personal struggles, regrets, and fears. The 6666 spinoff has the opportunity to continue that tradition by showing a different side of the cowboy lifestyle. This could be a story about rebuilding yourself, finding your purpose, and proving that strength is not always about winning a fight. Sometimes strength is waking up every day and continuing when life becomes difficult. And that is why Jimmy's future at the 6666 Ranch could become one of the most important stories in the entire Yellowstone universe. But the biggest mystery remains. Who else will join him in Texas? And how connected will this new chapter become to the larger Dutton story? Because if the rumors are true, the Four Sixes Ranch may not stay isolated for long. The next generation of Yellowstone stories could be bringing Montana and Texas together in a way fans never expected. And when those worlds collide, everything could change. One of the biggest reasons fans are excited about the Yellowstone 6666 spinoff is the possibility of seeing familiar characters return while also meeting a completely new group of people. The Yellowstone universe has always been built around strong personalities, and the Four Sixes Ranch has the perfect environment for introducing characters with different backgrounds, motivations, and conflicts. At the center of everything is Jimmy. His journey is one of the most surprising transformations in the entire franchise. When audiences first met him, he was not the kind of person anyone expected to become a respected cowboy. He was inexperienced, uncertain, and constantly searching for approval. Many people around him doubted whether he truly belonged in the ranch world. But Texas changed him. The Four Sixes Ranch gave Jimmy something he never had before: a chance to start over. Away from the pressure of proving himself to everyone in Montana, he found a place where dedication and effort mattered more than where he came from. He learned from real cowboys, faced challenges that tested him, and slowly became someone who could stand on his own. That is why many fans believe Jimmy could become the emotional heart of the series. His story represents growth, survival, and finding your place in a world that does not always make things easy. However, Jimmy cannot carry the entire show alone. The strength of Yellowstone has always come from its ensemble of characters, and the 6666 spinoff has the opportunity to create a new group of unforgettable personalities. One character fans continue to discuss is Teeter. After everything she experienced in Montana, especially the loss and pain that changed her life, Texas could represent a completely new beginning. The Four Sixes Ranch might become the place where she tries to rebuild herself and discover who she is after everything she has lost. Teeter has always been different from the other ranch hands. She brought energy, humor, and a unique personality to Yellowstone, but underneath that toughness was someone dealing with real emotions. A move to Texas could show a deeper side of her character. Instead of simply being the fun and unpredictable ranch hand, fans could finally see Teeter becoming one of the most respected people on the property. Someone who has been through pain, but refuses to let that pain destroy her. Then there is Travis, a character who has created many different opinions among viewers. Some fans enjoy his confidence and cowboy skills, while others feel his presence sometimes takes attention away from other characters. But in the 6666 spinoff, Travis could serve a much better purpose. Rather than being the person who solves every problem, he could become a mentor figure, someone who understands the traditions of ranch life and helps guide younger characters through the challenges ahead. The key to making this spin-off successful will be balance. Fans do not just want to see famous characters appear for a few moments. They want meaningful stories, emotional struggles, and characters who feel like they belong in this world. And that opens the door for new cast members. The Four Sixes Ranch has thousands of stories waiting to be explored. Every cowboy has a history. Every worker has something they are fighting for. Every person on the ranch has a reason why they chose this difficult lifestyle. That creates endless possibilities for drama. Maybe a new cowboy arrives who wants to prove himself but has a dangerous past. Maybe someone inside the ranch begins questioning the future of the traditional cowboy way of life. Maybe outside forces threaten the ranch and force everyone to decide how far they are willing to go to protect it. Because just like the Dutton Ranch, the Four Sixes will not exist in a peaceful world. Land, money, and power always attract people who want control. The difference is that this story could explore those battles from a different perspective. Instead of a family fighting to hold on to their legacy, this could be about a community fighting to protect a way of life. That difference could make the 6666 spinoff feel fresh, while still carrying the emotional DNA that made Yellowstone successful. Another exciting possibility is the connection between Texas and Montana. Fans know that the Yellowstone universe is built around relationships that cross generations and locations. The events at one ranch often create consequences somewhere else. This raises a major question. Could characters from the original Yellowstone series appear at the Four Sixes Ranch? The idea of seeing characters like Case, Beth, or Rip entering this world has created huge excitement among fans. Their personalities would bring a completely different energy to Texas. The calm but dangerous nature of Rip, the emotional strength of Beth, and Case's connection to family could create unforgettable moments. But even without major appearances, the 6666 Ranch has enough history and characters to stand on its own. That may actually be the biggest opportunity for this series. The Yellowstone universe continues to grow because each story feels different. One project explores family battles, another explores history and survival, another explores new generations dealing with old problems. The 4/6's spinoff has the chance to explore something fans have not fully seen before: the true cowboy lifestyle. The early mornings, the sacrifices, the friendships, the traditions passed down from one generation to another. And somewhere in the middle of all this is Jimmy, a character who once believed he did not belong anywhere, now standing at the center of one of the most legendary ranches in America. But as exciting as the future looks, there is still one major question that fans cannot stop asking. When will we finally see the 6666 Ranch story come to life? And what surprises are waiting when the cameras finally return to Texas? The 4/6's Ranch may look like a place built on tradition, hard work, and respect, but beneath the surface, there are many stories waiting to be uncovered. And if the Yellowstone universe has taught fans anything, it is that every beautiful piece of land comes with a battle attached to it. The 6666 spinoff has the potential to explore conflicts that are very different from what we saw in Montana. The Dutton family was always fighting against outside threats, political pressure, and enemies who wanted control of their land. But Texas brings a different kind of challenge. Here, the fight may not only be about protecting property, it could be about protecting a disappearing way of life. The cowboy lifestyle has existed for generations, but the modern world continues to change. Technology, business interests, and powerful companies are constantly pushing against old traditions. A ranch like the 4/6's represents something that cannot easily be replaced. It represents history, it represents people who built their lives around the land, and it represents a culture that many believe is slowly disappearing. This could become one of the biggest themes of the series. The question may not simply be, who owns the ranch? The deeper question could be, how far will people go to protect what they believe in? That is exactly the kind of emotional conflict that has always made Taylor Sheridan's stories stand out. The characters are rarely fighting simple battles. They are fighting for identity, family, loyalty, and survival. And Jimmy could find himself facing a challenge unlike anything he experienced before. For the first time, Jimmy would not just be trying to prove that he belongs. He would have something important to protect. He would have people depending on him. He would have a place that feels like home. But becoming a leader is not easy. Jimmy has always been someone who learned through mistakes. He was never the person with all the answers. He was the person who kept going even when things went wrong. That makes his potential leadership journey so interesting. Could Jimmy become the person younger cowboys look up to? Could he take the lessons he learned from Yellowstone and the 4/6's and pass them on to someone else? Could he become the kind of cowboy that he once admired from a distance? Those questions could define his entire story, because the greatest transformation is not becoming the strongest person in the room. It is becoming someone others can trust. And trust will be extremely important because every ranch has secrets. One possibility fans have discussed is that the 4/6's could introduce characters with complicated histories. People who arrive looking for a fresh start but are carrying problems from their past. That has always been a major part of Yellowstone's storytelling. Almost every character has something they are hiding. Some regret, some mistake, some decision they wish they could change. The 6666 Ranch could continue that tradition by showing that even in a peaceful-looking place, everyone has a battle they are fighting. Maybe a new ranch hand arrives hoping to escape a troubled past. Maybe a longtime worker struggles with accepting changes coming to the ranch. Maybe someone inside the organization has their own plans that could threaten everything. The possibilities are endless. Another major element could be the relationship between the old generation and the new generation. The cowboy world depends on passing knowledge from one person to another. Experienced ranch hands teach younger workers everything they know. They pass down skills, stories, and traditions. But every generation sees the world differently. The older cowboys may want to preserve everything exactly as it has always been. Younger characters may believe change is necessary for survival. That conflict could create powerful drama. Because sometimes the hardest battle is not against an enemy outside the gates. Sometimes it is a disagreement between people who are fighting for the same thing but seeing the future differently. This is where characters like Jimmy could become very important. He represents both worlds. He understands the old traditions because of everything he learned from the ranch, but he is also someone who changed, adapted, and found his own path. He knows what it feels like to be an outsider. He knows what it feels like to fail, and he knows what it means to earn respect. That makes him the perfect character to connect different generations together. But the biggest mystery surrounding the 6666 spinoff is how connected it will become to the larger Yellowstone universe. Fans have been waiting for more crossover moments between different stories. The possibility of characters from Montana, Texas, and other parts of the Yellowstone world meeting again creates endless excitement. Imagine the tension if old friendships are tested in a completely new environment. Imagine Rip stepping onto the 4-6's ranch and seeing the place that transformed Jimmy. Imagine Case returning to Texas and discovering a new chapter of the family's story. Imagine Beth entering a world where business decisions and cowboy traditions collide. These possibilities are exactly why fans continue to speculate. However, the series also needs to create its own identity. The biggest mistake would be trying to simply recreate Yellowstone in Texas. The 4-6's story needs to breathe differently. It needs its own characters, its own conflicts, its own emotional journey. Because the reason fans connected with Yellowstone was never just the ranch or the drama. It was the feeling that every character was fighting for something meaningful. The 6666 spinoff has the opportunity to capture that same feeling while showing a completely new side of the cowboy world. A world where every sunrise brings another challenge. A world where respect is earned, not given. And a world where one decision can change the future of an entire ranch. But there is still one question that remains unanswered. Who will stand beside Jimmy when the biggest challenges arrive? And will the 4-6's ranch become the strongest connection between all the different stories in the Yellowstone universe? The most exciting part about the 6666 spinoff is not only what happens inside the Texas ranch, but how it could connect to the larger Yellowstone universe. Over the years, fans have watched different generations fight for survival, protect their homes, and make impossible choices. Now, the 4-6's ranch could become the place where many of those stories begin to come together. The Yellowstone universe has always been about more than one family or one piece of land. At its core, it has been about legacy. It is about what people leave behind and what they are willing to sacrifice to protect what matters most. That is why the 6666 Ranch feels like such an important addition. Unlike the Dutton Ranch, which has always been surrounded by enemies and conflicts over ownership, the 4-6's represents something different. It represents tradition, it represents a community built by generations of people who dedicated their lives to ranching, but that does not mean it will be free from danger. In fact, the biggest challenges could come from unexpected places. The modern world is changing quickly, and ranches across America face difficult questions about their future. How do you protect a tradition while adapting to a new world? How do you keep the past alive without refusing to change? Those questions could create some of the most powerful stories in the series. Jimmy could find himself caught between two worlds: the cowboy life he learned in Texas and the complicated history he experienced in Montana. He understands what it means to struggle, but now he may have to learn what it means to lead. Leadership is something Jimmy never imagined for himself.